Hi, this is ABASOV, a broker with Right at Home Realty, and this is your monthly real estate statistics. According to forecasters, the Canadian economy is supposed to be in a recession. It seems no one informed the jobs market. There's a Canadian real estate correction? Apparently no one told Toronto. Canada added 150,000 jobs in January, according to Statistics Canada, marking the latest in a series of job reports that far surpassed predictions. Canada has now added 326,000 jobs since the beginning of September 2022. That is certainly not in line with the Bank of Canada's outlook. The media reports sunshine or clouds based on the views presented by analysts who crunch mountains of economic data. As statistics continue to not follow a predictable economic model, it's no wonder that opinions and outlooks are continuously shifting these days. Do not expect real estate prices to fall much further. We are in a balanced market. The only way to see further significant price drops is if we experience an influx of power of sale properties on MLS, where mortgage lenders force borrowers in default to sell. First-time homebuyers who shied away from purchases as mortgage rates rose are returning to the market, along with people who simply need to move or have outgrown their homes. To give you a better idea on where a real estate market is at today, allow me to share a few reports of all sold properties in Toronto in February and compare them to the past 4 years. The amount of new listings in February of 2020 was 3,068, a 7% increase from 2019. In 2021, that amount rose 33% to 4,910 listings. In 2022, it rose another 4% to 5,130 listings, and this year it actually dropped 31% to 3,520 listings, lowest amount in 4 years. Now, let's see how many properties were sold during the same period. In 2020, there were 2,670 properties sold across Toronto, a 31% increase from 2019. Then, in 2021, the amount rose 42% to 3,810 properties. Sales dropped 10% in 2022 to 3,400 properties, and this year, pay attention, a 49% drop. 1,730 condo and freehold properties combined were sold in Toronto, again, lowest in 4 years. Prices. Did they go down? Let's see. 19% increase from 2019, and average price was $1 million. Not a significant increase of only 1% in February of 2021. An average price is $1,020,000. In 2022, another hopping increase of 20%, and now average selling price is at $1,230,000. This February, there is a decline of 10%, and average selling price is $1,100,000. So, what do we see from these reports? New listings went up 44% since 2019 and dropped 31% this February. Lowest amount of new listings in 4 years. Sales went up 63% in the past 3 years, and this February dropped 49% again, a lowest amount of sold properties within 4 years. Prices went up 40% in the past 3 years and went down 10% this February. Toronto average price is still up 30% since February of 2019. Stats don't lie. What might happen for the rest of 2023? Historically, real estate prices increased by 4% per year. Two factors are responsible for this: the cost of new housing, which is always higher than resale due to inflation, and immigration, which increases the demand for housing. Over the past 3 years, we have seen an increase of 30 to 40%, followed by a decrease of 15 to 25%. The net effect is an average annual increase of 5%, slightly above the long-term average. The increases I forecast are below this average, but still positive, as I do not expect a significant number of power of sales. Prices may be lower in the first quarter, but will become positive by year end. Now, let's take a closer look at detached home sales in Toronto and surrounding areas. An average selling price of detached home in Toronto in February was $1.72 million, an 18% decrease compared to February of last year. However, prices have increased from January by $210,000. Amount of sold properties was down 42%. The amount of new listings was also down by 36%. It takes 17 days for a detached home to be sold in Toronto today. In Vaughan, an average selling price of detached home in February was $1.91 million, almost 14% decline compared to February of last year. However, $100,000 increase compared to January. The amount of sold properties was down by 42%. The amount of new listings was down by 48%. It takes on average 23 days for a detached home to be sold in Vaughan. An average selling price of a detached home in Richmond Hill in February was $1.9 million, 12% decline compared to February of last year. The amount of sold properties was down by 44%. The amount of new listings was down by 52%. On average, it takes 19 days for a detached home to be sold in Richmond Hill today. Compared to January, prices went up in Mississauga this February and were sitting at $1.54 million. However, still 19% decline compared to February of last year. The amount of sold properties was down by 51%. The amount of new listings was also down by 43%. It takes on average 22 days for a detached home to be sold in Mississauga today. Prices went up in Markham compared to January and are sitting at $1.72 million. 18% decline compared to February of last year. The amount of sold properties down by 45%. The amount of new listings is down by 61%. It takes 14 days on average for a detached home to be sold in Markham today. Newmarket. Prices have not changed since January, however they're down 18% compared to February of last year. The amount of sold properties was down by 47%. The amount of new listings is down by 58%. It takes 21 days on average for a detached home to be sold in Newmarket today. In Aurora, an average selling price of a detached home slightly went down compared to January and is 20% down compared to February of last year. The amount of sold properties went down by 64%. The amount of new listings was also down by 60%. On average, it takes 20 days for a detached home to be sold in Aurora today. After steep declines in Innisfil, an average selling price went up this February to $862,000. However, compared to February of last year, Innisfil is down 27%. The amount of sold properties were down by 50%. The amount of new listings went down by 5.7%. It takes on average 32 days for a detached home to be sold in Innisfil today. An average selling price of a detached home in King City this February was $3.18 million, a 3% increase compared to February of last year. There were only 3 properties sold in King City and 10 new listings came out on the market. It takes on average 30 days for a detached home to be sold in King City today. An average selling price of a detached home in Bradford in February was $1.12 million, a slight increase compared to January, however 22% decrease compared to February of last year. The amount of sold properties was down by 43%. The amount of new listings was also down by 43%. On average, it takes 21 days for a detached home to be sold in Bradford today. Compared to January in Milton, we don't see any changes in prices, and an average selling price of detached home is at $1.32 million. However, compared to February of last year, the prices went down 23%. The amount of sold properties is down by 42%. The amount of new listings is down by 39%. It takes on average 12 days for a detached home to be sold in Milton today. Not a significant change in Stoufville compared to January, however prices went down by 25% compared to February of last year. The amount of sold properties is down by 55%. The amount of new listings is down by 37%. It takes on average 19 days for a detached home to be sold in Stoufville today. In Barrie, compared to January, we do not see the significant increase of prices for detached home. However, compared to February of last year, we're down 22%. An average selling price of detached home is sitting at $860,000. The amount of sold properties went down by 56%. The amount of new listings is also down by 36%. On average, it takes 22 days for a detached home to be sold in Barrie today. So, while conditions are not as frantic as they were in the pandemic, housing activity is picking up again. Does this mean the correction is over? Not exactly. It doesn't indicate much in terms of market direction. 1 month does not make a trend, and prices never move in a straight line. Most corrections also face a period where a group of consumers on the sideline jump in and call it a bottom. If you'd like to receive your own personalized report about sales in your neighborhood, please call me at 647-801-3401 or email me at sold@fuadhomes.com. Thanks for watching and see you next month.